Hey there, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to do the Italian tubular bind-off. This is basically how your work will look. Your stitches will look as if they're flowing over the edge, and it's very stretchy, which I absolutely love. And so it's perfect for the neckline, for the cuffs, for like the edge of your knitting. So this is basically how you do it. You're going to go to the stitch corresponding to the knit stitches. By the way, this is absolutely the same if you're starting here. So if you're a beginner, don't worry, it's the same. My beginning stitch here was a knit stitch. So you're just going to do the same thing. It's not like there's a special way of doing it when you're starting here and then it's different. No, it's the same. So you're going to go into the stitch corresponding to the knit stitches, and you're going to go in that stitch knitwise. So this is how you start it off. Go in knitwise, and it's the same if you're working in the round. So go into that stitch knitwise and then slip off that stitch. And then you're going to go on into the second stitch on your needle here, purlwise. And it's important to leave a generous thread of yarn, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have a very short thread and it's not enough. So that's another tip there. So we went into the second stitch here purlwise, and we're going to go into the first stitch purlwise. Sorry, it's getting a bit tangled, but yeah, just going to go in purlwise with that, and we're going to slip off that stitch and pull gently. And then you're going to come in from behind between the first and second stitch like this. And then you're going to go through the second stitch knitwise. And then you're going to go through the first stitch knitwise. And you slip it off. So that's basically the repeat. So I'll show you once again. Go into this second stitch on the needle purlwise. Go into the first stitch purlwise. And then slip that stitch off. And then you're going to come in from behind like this. And then go into the second stitch knitwise. And go into the first stitch knitwise, and you're going to slip off that stitch. Now, one thing that could be difficult about the Italian tubular bind-off, especially as a beginner, is knowing where you are. Sometimes you could forget where you were, like, because there are like some steps. Although they're pretty repetitive, it's a bit daunting at first. So I'm going to share a tip on how you remember, and with this tip I am telling you, you will not forget. So this is how I remember it. So as you can see right now, we are on the purl stitch here. So this is supposed to be a purl stitch if I'm knitting my rib. So you see purl, knit, right? So this stitch corresponds to the purl stitch. So what this stitch looks like is going to tell me what I'm going to do here. This is how I remember it. Okay, so yeah, it works. You're gonna go into the second stitch purlwise, because the first stitch here is a purl stitch. So let's just do that. Right? I'm telling you, you're going to remember this and you're gonna be like, wow. So you're gonna go into the second stitch purlwise, because the first stitch here was a purl stitch. And then you're going to go into the first stitch purlwise, which corresponds to the purl stitches, remember? And you're going to go there in purlwise and basically slip it off. Now, how do you know you're going to slip it off? Because it was a purl stitch and we went into that stitch purlwise, so that basically means we're going to slip it off. That's how I remember it, and it works. It's basically like how it is. So next, let's say I get off and I don't know, where did I leave my work? That's, like now I'm lost. Basically look at the first stitch. Here, this stitch corresponds to a knit stitch. So that means I'm going to go into the second stitch knitwise. But as you can see, my yarn is at the back. And when you're going in knitwise, you need your yarn to be positioned in the front. Like the thread here should be in the front. So we're just going to come in from behind so that our thread is in the front, right? So here we are, it's in the front. By the way, if you hear car noises, that's because like my flat is literally next to the road. So yeah, I apologize for that. And so basically you go in knitwise like this. No, sorry, you come in from behind between the first and second stitch. This positions the yarn in such a way that we can go into our stitches knitwise. So we go into the second stitch knitwise. Why? Because the first stitch here corresponds to knit stitches. So we're going to go in knitwise like this. And then we're going to go in knitwise again, but on the first stitch. And the rule doesn't change. If you go in knitwise on the knit stitch, that means you're going to slip it off. If you go in purlwise on the purl stitch, that means you're going to slip it off. So here we went in knitwise on the knit stitch, so we slip it off. And there we have it. Let me just show you again. So here the stitch corresponds to purl stitches, the first one on the needle, as you can see. Can I zoom in? Okay, this is better. The first one here corresponds to purl stitches, so that means I'm going to go into this stitch purlwise. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to go into the first stitch purlwise, which was the one that was supposed to be the purl stitch. So we go into that one purlwise, and because we're going into the purl stitch purlwise, we're going to slip off that stitch. There you go. And then you look at this stitch, corresponds to the knit stitches, and this one's a purl stitch. So that means I'm going to go into this purl stitch knitwise, but for me to do that, I need to position my yarn in such a way that I can go in knitwise. So I'm going to come in from behind like this, right? And then go into that stitch knitwise. Oops. Oh man, it got like into a little bowl here, sorry. I'm going to go in knitwise, and then we go into the first stitch on our needle knitwise as well. And when we do that, what are we going to do? We're going to slip off the stitch because that was supposed to be a knit stitch. And that's it. That is basically how you remember. And I tell you, you will not be lost even as a beginner. You will remember where you are, and basically, that's how you do the Italian tubular bind-off. I highly recommend this bind-off method. It is one of my favorites. It's stretchy. It looks very neat, like your work's flowing over the edge, and I absolutely love the look of it. If that video was helpful, please leave a like and a comment. And yeah, see you in another video. Bye.